Today's lesson is about possession. Possession is something I have or have ownership of or am using at the present time. For example, marker. I have this marker. In the English language, we have, like in every other language, we need to break up the grammatical rules into a set formula. For example, possession. The ownership or use of something permanently or temporarily. That is possession. Possession. In English, we use either have or has, depending on the body at use. For example, we're talking about the positive. The first person is I. I have. I have a marker. I have a shirt. The second person, she, he, and it, receives the word has. They are similar, but very different. I have a marker. If I want to say that she has something, she has ownership of something, temporarily or permanently, she has a marker. She has a marker. He has a marker. That's for the second person. The third person receives the same rules as the first person. They, you, and we have. They have many friends. They have many games. Anything in the plural is a third person. Anything in the singular is the second person. And I am the first person. Let's do an example. I write have or has. I have a pen. I write with a pen or a marker. I go back to the first person. I have a pen. If I want to give an example in the second person, she has a pen. This usage of have and has to be used through drilling the assignments and repeatedly going over it over and over in order to remember the rules properly. She has a pen. And the third person, we have or has. We look according to our table. We have a pen. Now, that's for the positive. If I want to look at the negative, how do I do the negative? I plus do not or don't have a pen. I do not or don't have a pen. She, he, and it receives, does not or doesn't have a pen. She does not have a pen. The most important thing with these different grammatical rules is going over them over and over and over again. This can be done by doing exercises, like writing on a piece of paper and filling in have or has, or it can be done by reading a book and looking for have or has in the sentences, and then using those words, the have or has, as connecting words to understand the entire sentence. let's continue. Like I said previously, the first and the third body are identical. So, I have, I do not, or don't have, they, you, and we receive do not or don't. The final step in the usage of possession, the temporary or continual usage or ownership of an item, is questions. It's funny to say, but we have to learn it anyway for the table. Do I have, and then the remaining part of our sentence. For example, I can say, I have a marker. I do not have a marker. Now I want to ask, do I have a marker? She has a marker. She does not have a marker. And now I want to say, does she plus have a marker? They have many friends. It's very fun for them at the end of the day. They can meet with many people. They have many friends. But there are people that don't have that. So they do not have many friends. Now, if I want to ask that, if I want to ask that as a question, do they have many friends? Like I said previously, possession, have or has, is the temporary or continual ownership or usage of something. The best way to use this is to remember this table by heart, and then either drill questions. I have or has a house. So I don't know what the answer is. I can look towards my table. I see the same word written here, even if I can't read. So I know that in the positive it has to be have. And I know in the negative it has to be I do not have. A house. And then if I want to ask myself a question, although it's funny to ask myself a question as I'm talking to myself, I simply look back and lean on my table. Do I have a house? If I want to study the second person, he a house. Now, I don't know what the answer is. Permanent or temporary ownership of something. He. I can't even read in English, which is fine. So what do? I put my finger under he. I scan the different bodies, and I see that here in the second body is the same word. So I know he has a house. Now I want to say he doesn't have a house. So I just go to the negative. He does not have a house. And then I want to ask the question, does this person have ownership over a house? I have to remember the table by heart by drilling questions like this, and by reading will allow me to remember the table and the grammatical laws in the English language over ownership by heart. I look at the table. Does he have a house? And of course, if I'm asking a question, I have to put a question mark at the end of the question. Let's do the third person. They a car. They, I scan the three bodies. I come to the third person. They have. The third person, like we said, is identical to the first person. They have a car. I continue until I know it by heart. I have to remember the table. I have to study the table in order to be able to use it in actual writing and reading and speaking. I look negative. They do not. Have a car. And finally, do. They have a car. Today we studied possession, have or has, in the present form of the English language. I introduced to you a table which whoever memorizes this table by heart will be able to speak, read with comprehension, and write correctly in the English language. Any further questions, it would be my pleasure to respond to you either by telephone or by email. Thank you very much.